Welcome to the first episode of the On the Block podcast of 2026. You've got myself, Ryan, content manager for Block Devoir, and today, very happy new year to you, Alex.
Happy
Welcome
New
to
Year,
the
pal.
podcast,
Cheers, bro.
and take it away with a quick intro.
Yeah, man. Name's Alex Nasser, and I'm a stylist. Freelance now. I was with an agency up until August, but because they were down south and I'm based in Manny, yeah, freelance now. So, yeah, man. Just a stylist, mate. Try to make people look good.
So probably to kick that off, like how did you get into being a stylist, and does that fashion sort of or want to be a stylist come from like growing up, or is it something you've moved into?
Honestly, I know it's going to sound like a bit of a cop out answer, but I I genuinely just fell into it. I know that's not great if anybody wants to like figure out advice and stuff, but I was lucky enough to have friends that work in the industry and stuff and are photographers and videographers, and it was just a case of like, can you help out here? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then it just took one person to be like, you've got a real knack for this, And I didn't know that was a thing that you could do. And then, slowly. And I was like, yeah. And then from there, oh God, from there, it was on and off that I did jobs and shoots and stuff like that up until I think maybe 2 years ago now. I thought, right, I want to do this properly, sort of thing. So I basically called in a load of favors. My mate owned a studio, so again, lucky there. Like I said, all my friends were photographers and videographers, so I was like, look, I want to do a shoot. I know this person, I know that person. Can we put together a shoot? And they're like, yeah. And from that, I sort of like honed my sort of way of styling people and getting down sort of the steps I believe sort of essential to be a good stylist and to work well on set with others. So yeah, it took about 8-9 months, and then I was picked up by an agency in London, again through a friend, and that's when I started to work on big commercial projects and stuff like that. And yeah, man, it's just a bit of a whirlwind, but yeah, that's how I got into it, by sheer happenstance. And I found out that I really, really enjoyed it. So thought I'd have a go at it, sort of thing. Yeah.
And do you think, like you've mentioned, like pulling in a lot of favors with friends, do you think like networking and getting in touch with people and in almost introducing yourself in some cases is really important? Because I know, especially when you're younger, people can be kind of shy when you're coming out of college, uni, and might not have, the social skills. But do you think that's been a really important part of being able to help you get where you needed to be?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I always felt like, and I think most people do, I didn't want to impose on anyone. I didn't want to be like, yo, I know you've got a shoot coming up. Can I come through? I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I think it was kind of getting over that mentality of, you know, me feeling like I'd be a burden and stuff. It's something I was interested in. Do you know what I mean? So there's no harm if you're interested. Like all the worst thing that can happen is somebody be like, it's a closed set, or it can't. Sorry, but I might get you on the next one. So there is a bit of an element of putting yourself out there. And my advice in terms of networking and stuff is like, you know, yes, network, but don't. I think in our industry, it's all well and good. Like you've had this yourself, probably, like where you meet someone, you're like, oh, we should connect, we should do this, and nothing really comes of it. Don't get disheartened by that stuff. But when you meet someone and someone's like, we should do something, or I really like this, or you show them your work and they're like, I actually like it, you'll find that someone, like I found it in crowded spaces and stuff like that, where someone will really like resonate with what you're doing. And they're like, let's get you on this and let's get you on that. And, you know, I think 80% of the time it's a very polite, like, we should connect, and then nothing happens. And it's not because that person doesn't, believe in what you're doing or doesn't like your stuff. everyone in our industry is super busy. Everything is like all our interactions are quite fleeting because you're at an event for say like Adidas, and everyone's trying to enjoy themselves, but also some people are trying to work, and some people are trying to network, and some people are trying to get their foot in the door for like a shoot coming up 3 months from now. So everyone's doing the same thing you're doing. So don't be disheartened by a no or somebody not getting back contact with you. Just keep at it, and just be like super genuine. I think I found that people invested in me because they liked me even before the work. They liked me, and they were like, "Oh, you're fun to have on set," and also you see stuff that other people don't see and stuff like that. So take a chance on yourself and don't be disheartened by like not always like going through onto a like basically what I'm trying to say is like conversion. Like don't be saddened by the fact that somebody said, "Oh, we'll get together," and then it's not converted by like a week or two that you haven't actually got together to work. Like you and me, we've said we'd do this for ages, sort of thing, but you've been super busy. I've been super busy. Just people are busy. That's all it is. But if you really believe in what you're doing and you enjoy what you're doing, I mean, even if you haven't connected with that person, like keep doing your stuff, and everyone's watching. I mean, I know that like your Instagram where it says like so many thousands of people people are watching you, man. So it'll just come to you'll get that message one day or the email being like, "Hey, we've been following you for a little bit. We'd love you to come out and do this." And from there, you'll kind of like get a feel for it, and you're like, "Yes, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this." And then you'll be that person like, "Let's connect and do this sort of thing." And then you might not get back to someone, but it doesn't matter because everyone's busy. Everyone's busy. So don't be don't feel any sort of way about it.
Yeah, I guess as cliche as it sounds, it's like you miss every shot you don't take, and if you're not, like you say, not everyone is going to get back to you, and that doesn't mean, like you say, that they don't appreciate your work. But if people have always got stuff moving, and it might just be a timing thing that it doesn't work out at that time, but 3 6 months down the line, you never know. And do you think that like being able to do that and become a stylist yourself and be self-employed, do you think that works better for you? And you know, is the differences between working with an agency or doing it yourself that that you've got the full freedom to do what you want, take on your own work, or do you find having an agency behind you helps? Because I know some people might think, "Oh, I'd love to be a stylist and do it myself," but uh, the the worry of being freelance or the challenges of managing things on your own. How have you found being able to like be in charge of your work?
Yeah, it's a sick question, because I've obviously done both. And what I'll say is with being at an agency, they're obviously like creatively, you get a client and they want you to hit like this sort of look for this sort of shoot. And your input for what you think creatively could be good or better. Um, it won't be that it's minimized, it just won't be within scope. Like you'll hear that all the time, like, it's not within scope on this one, or like we try to hit this, we're not trying to hit that. And the main thing is understanding what like that client wants. Whereas when you freelance, you go out to find your clients, don't you? You go out to sort of like be like, I want to make this thing and I want to for it to appeal to that person over there. So I think the great thing about an agency is having the connections and having a steady paycheck, bro, like just behind you. It's just one of those things where it's great. But what I found is that I became less hungry at an agency. Like when you're freelance, you're sort of like you're out there every day trying to be self-sufficient, being like, I want to go and get that client, I want to go get that client, I want to work with them, I want to work with that person. And it's you've got to be a self-starter. I'll be completely honest, I'm super lazy. Like so when I was at the agency, it was great for me because it's like we need you on Berghaus, they're looking for this, can you make a few boards and then show up on the day for the shoot? Yeah, that's great. I'm just like streamlining it. It's definitely not that easy, but you know the thinking aspect of being freelance completely goes because you're not like, where do I have to source the product from? Where can I get the studio? Where can I get the photographer? Like, if you're doing everything yourself and putting a shoot together, it's a lot. But then if you're freelance and say, like, a client hits you up, there's the talk of like budget, which is a really annoying conversation to have. And then it's kind of like, can you provide X, Y, and Z? Because sometimes when you freelance, the client might not have all that stuff and they want you to bring some of the stuff. So all that is taken away when you're with an agency. So that's a pro for the agency. But the con is that you kind of, I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, I kind of fell away from like honing my craft in terms of being like more experimental, playing with lighting, playing with different photographers. I kind of lost that experimental viewfinder that I had when I was freelance, because then I want to make work that's like, oh, I've seen that on a JD billboard. I don't want to do that. It's not to say it's not good, but I kind of want to do something that you haven't seen on a billboard, but I want to see on a billboard. It was kind of like that. So I kind of lost it because I got comfortable. I got comfortable with the paycheck. I got comfortable with the fact that like I'd get an email through me like, this is this call sheet, you're on this, and the element of me going out to find work was taken away. But I obviously had a cushy job. Now with being freelance, I feel at the minute like I'm being a bit slow and I'm being a bit lazy. And I see other stylists out there that are like constantly hammering that like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I wish I had that drive to do that stuff, but I don't. I'm the kind of person that sort of sits back and waits for like inspiration to hit me, and then I'm gone for like 6 weeks. I will be working and working and working. And I know that sometimes that might not be sustainable, but it's just the way I work. And recently I was kind of like, okay, back to freelance. I kind of need to get back onto the fact that I need to message people that have been like, hey, come through and work with us, and not feel like I'm being a burden, and be like, yeah, I want to work with you on this, I want to work with you on that. And then also just a bit pull my finger out and get back to warming up those muscles of making boards and getting concepts out there and contacting photographers and like, being a bit of a self-starter again, which I had before I was at the agency. And I kind of think now I've just got to teach myself again. It's great having both things. It depends where you kind of fall. If you are hungry for your own client list and to have so much self motivation and self determination that you're like, I want to make these things, then I think go freelance and do that, because I see loads of stylists working with so many different brands and they're not with an agency. And then I see stylists with an agency working on massive brands, which again, I want to do that as well. And I think there's just a middle road where you got to, for me, I've just got to find a middle road where I'm kind of comfortable with doing both. But I don't think one is better than the other, really. I think it's what you want to get out of the job, really. I know stylists that just, um, you know, work with Next and M&S and stuff like that. And from the outside, people are like, not creative. But then when you look at the campaigns, like, oh, I'm more interested now in what they're selling because of the way it was styled. I mean, M&S's recent campaigns and Next have been, I mean, obviously the buying team, they've got new buying teams and stuff, and their stuff looks great. And then the stylist on set is making it look like, yo, oh, maybe I'm getting older and I want to go M&S and get like a comfy cardigan. I don't know, but it's just one of those things where I think you play to your strengths and play where you want to go, and then, Brev, you'll just be happy either way, man. You're doing what you want to do, and that's probably the main thing.
Do you think it's not necessarily? I know you said it might be like a lazy thing, but do you think it's almost sometimes hard to kind of like force creativity? Because I know I've seen that in different other industries like music and art and stuff, and sometimes like you say, a creative idea or the spark for it, when you try and force it to happen, it doesn't always work like that. And do you feel like sometimes you need to wait for that inspiration to come to you before you feel like, right, I'm ready to go? Because I've seen it from music, especially, that like you can sit in the
Yeah.
studio for ages and you're like, we need to write something, we need to make something, but it's just not there. Do you think you have the same thing from a creativity perspective from styling?
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you know what? Actually, it's literally like that, because every time I've forced like a styling board out or I've forced an idea out, one that I don't, it's not that I don't 100% believe in it. I have like, and most people I think have this, they have like 1,000 great ideas a day, but then I'll get that one excellent idea that I'll write. And one thing I do all the time is I bookmark. It doesn't matter if it's music or a cooking video or, something from like Outlander Mag. I will bookmark stuff that, I don't know, it itches a certain part of my brain. I'm like, I like that. And I don't know why I like that at the minute, but maybe in a week or two, the jigsaw piece will fit in and I'll figure out why I liked that. So forcing creativity for me feels a bit hollow and it stresses me out. It's a massive stress. And I think forcing it causes me to get burnt out quicker. So I was in London just before Christmas and I was feeling this exact way. Like I just went to London sort of to just for a chilled one. I went to see some friends and I went into the Ralph Lauren store. I think is it on Bond Street. But anyway, the one where it has the coffee shop and everyone's lining up. It's across from Cartier. But I went in and I didn't realize for some reason I didn't realize it was a store. I thought it was just a coffee shop. But when I went in and I saw that you can go to the store part, I went in and bro, I took so many photos because like my brain just lit up. I was like, I saw all these mannequins. I went to Double RL. I went to the Purple brand upstairs. The store itself is gorgeous, and the way these mannequins were dressed, and the way the store was set out, I got inspo from like, oh, I got inspo from. Um, sorry, I think my phone vibrated then, and yeah, I got inspiration from the mannequins, the furniture, the lighting, the artwork it had on, the way the store was set out. Because when I went up the stairs to Double RL, it was like you went into a Western saloon, completely different to everything else. And then when you went up to Purple Brand upstairs, just proper like long leather couches, and it was just so elegant and regal.
Do you think?
I was just
Do you
snap.
think?
I was just
Do you think?
Go on.
Do you think Ralph Lauren's back? Because
I
I've
think
been seeing it more and more.
Yeah, I think the next wave of stuff this year, mate, is Americana. I think everyone's been thrifting and buying vintage, but I think with the advent of stuff, everyone obsessing over selvage denim and Japanese workwear and stuff, I think Americana has been on the back burner for a little bit, and the advent of people getting interested in double RL denim, and then preppiness. I think prep core in the ties and all that is going to evolve into an American workwear. I know I'm saying like we have Carhartt for ages, but I'm talking like the ranch hand sort of stuff, the cowboy aesthetic, but kind of mixed with preppiness. And I think Ralph is going to be back in a big way. I think it's never gone out of style, but I think it's going to become a bit more that you see on people's
Like
mood
more
boards and stuff like
mainstream.
more mainstream, mate. And I think you've got Aurelie and Drake's and stuff like that, and even a bit of Noah as well, that have all been doing it for a little while. But I think that's going to come up on everyone's radar again this year, and kind of like, oh, I want to dress as if like I'm going on what do you call it now, like a tour of the states, like going down Route 66. So like leathers and like distressed. I mean, we have distressed in them now, but I'm talking like your straight baggy bootcut jeans that are, it's like sandblasted denim, all that sort of stuff. I think you've seen it now with even to the fact with like gloves, like dudes are wearing gloves, and I think that is going to be crossover a little bit with like, do you know like minimalism and men's minimalism where it's just black, white, and greys. I think men are going to go slightly off to the side now in terms of it's going to be that minimal aesthetic, but it's going to be minimal color aesthetic. So you're going to have soft pastels or like blues. So I think blue's going to come back in a big way, but I think you're going to have colors, but in a minimal aspect as well. I think you're going to see bloody. I think straight menswear has been stealing off women's wear for ages in terms of shape, and the I think that we've been nicking off gay men for ages in the queer community, and I think obviously loads of men now are looking into like handbags and stuff like that. And it's not just, and you try to masculinize the idea of an handbag, but it's not. It's just, bro. It's just it's a fancier tote bag, and that's what you're kind of trying to get away with. But there's nothing to get away with. Like I've been looking at the minute of there's a I don't know if you've seen it. There's a Coach bag with a like a purse clip. So it's like but it's
Yeah.
a massive one. It's a massive one. I think it's a gorgeous bag, and I think all that is kind of gonna come in, especially towards spring summer. I think you're going to see guys experiment more with shape, which is what women's wear has had forever, and we don't get a lot of. But I think you're going to see us sort of like mess around with shape more. I think this whole boxy crop silhouette thing, yeah, I think that was the like a bit of a doorway for dudes to start kind of experiment with like how things sit on the waist and then have to mess with proportions and see your longer legs and stuff. But then I think it's going to go even more where it's like the accessories going to move away from like ties and hats and jewelry to more handbags, you know, more refined tote bags and stuff like that. I think your footwear is going to go less slimmer but more like casual elegance as well. It's going to be a mishmash of like loads of different styles that you won't pinpoint. It'll be a gum.
Do you think there is like, and I know I've been seeing this from like pulling like content and how content's changed over the past four
Yeah.
or 5 years, but do you think there is like clear trends anymore, or do you think it's like little bits of lots of different things? And like, when like you can probably say like you can pick an outfit and say what a 2015 outfit looks like, and it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like a Jerry Lorenzo, Kanye, and it's probably a mix or one of the two.
Like
But do you feel
Balmain and stuff like
like,
that.
yeah, do you feel like there is like that kind of niche kind of style anymore, or do you think there's so much influence from everywhere now, probably because of Instagram, that there aren't clear trends anymore? Or
Yeah, I think
what do you think?
Instagram and TikTok have and the proliferation of the get ready with me videos, the outfits of the days. I think that's been great for people who may not necessarily have been so into fashion or not knowing how to get into it. Even though fashion isn't a thing you get into, it's just something that you like. Everyone's into fashion, bro. Like you get dressed every day, don't you? You dress a certain way for a certain thing. You might not be able to like quantify it, but I mean, I don't know if you've watched The Bear, but like when cousin Richie says, it feels like armor. It's what people do every day when they go out. And you may not think class it as fashion. You're getting dressed for a reason. You're putting that thing on for a reason because it makes you feel good. And I think with Instagram and TikTok and the get ready with me's and the outfits of the day and come shopping with me and stuff, it's been great for people everywhere to figure out kind of like, oh, I saw that jumper on that dude. I like it. I'm going to go buy that. And it's been great for brands. It's been amazing for brands, but like, I think trends for me were a thing that lasted maybe years. Now I think it's micro trends. Micro trends like the balloon jeans, they were in style 2017. You know what I mean? Like barrel leg jeans and barrel leg like jogging bottoms. Cos I remember having a pair of jogging bottoms from Women's Cos way back like 2017, 2016. And now it's barrel leg denim. So, and then it's the baggy, double pleated, all that stuff. And it's micro trends that is, I think the one negative is that it's pushing the fact that you have to keep up. You don't have to keep up at all. You don't have to constantly buy stuff. The idea of fast fashion stuff like that, you don't have to keep up with anyone. You don't have to like, if you like it, yeah, go get it, but don't feel any pressure because you don't have a thing that your mate or the guy on TikTok or the girl on TikTok's got. Not a thing, mate. Like I've recently started going back through my wardrobe because I have such a bad habit of buying things that I like and amassing loads of stuff, but only wearing like maybe 7 things. And I've started to consciously try and go back through my wardrobe and pull out old things, old trainers. Like I've not worn trainers in ages, and try and incorporate that into my wardrobe and stuff like that. I think micro trends are great for people to discover things more quickly, but then they're bad because people think they've got to have that thing where they don't. You can just wear the thing that you had last year. Doesn't mean it's out of style or anything. It's not, nothing goes out of style. It just comes back in, or it comes back in a different font. That's all that happens. I think if you're comfortable in what you wear, you don't have to chase anything like that. Just rock what you've got on, and like people that don't follow, don't be a sheep, you know, just do your own thing, stay in your own lane. And people, if you want people to notice, they will. If you don't want people to notice, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be noticed. It's one of those things where I think people have an obsession with eyes on them. Whereas I've always thought fashion is first and foremost about making yourself feel good and comfortability. That's it. Like anything more than that, I think it then becomes a bit performative. Yeah,
Do you think like the micro trends sort of space is like you say maybe with TikTok and with short form content is just maybe why we don't see trends the same anymore is because it's so fast. Like you're scrolling through reels, TikToks now, it's 3 or 4 seconds, if that.
yeah,
And then as quickly as we're consuming content and we want something new all the time, is that what we're potentially seeing with these trends is that people get into something and then it's like, what's next? And I want to see something new. And
yeah,
that's the content is almost driving the change in consumer behavior because you want to be like doing something different or doing something new or trying what someone else is doing. And because there's so many things going on, it's maybe sort of hyper inflating those trends because say 10 years ago we didn't have TikTok, we had Instagram, but maybe content was a bit slower and creativity was a bit slower. But now, is it, a chicken and egg thing of like people trying to get something new and brands trying to catch up, and then fast fashion and probably overall market changes of like short form content and things like Timu and Shein who are just like, right, we see a trend, you can get it cheap. Here you go.
yeah.
What do you think?
I think you're right, and it goes back to the fact of like forcing creativity. I think everyone's trying to be the next new thing, which I think it can be damaging because the it's how fast, like you said, we're consuming content, and the fact that our attention spans are absolutely obliterated to this point where you like that, and you probably stop on something for like more than a second. And you're like, oh, I like that. Okay, next thing. And I think because of that, we consume more, and therefore fast fashion. Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's like if something's like accessible and cheap, and you've seen it and you like it, yeah, I'll go buy that. Then also you don't feel bad by them being in the back of your wardrobe next week. And the one thing I see is that as soon as something is out, a week later somebody's like, "Oh yeah, that's already dead." I'm like, "It's been out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I only seen that a week ago. How is it already dead?" And the other negativity, the negative thing I see about content is like, what's your first fashion mistake, or like, what like do you think skinny jeans are back and stuff like this, and like the I think it's negative fashion content. I get that people have to keep on top and keep things interesting and make content so people are still engaging with their stuff, but I think that makes it so that people are like, oh, I don't want to be caught up in the stuff that people don't like. I think that's just the way I think. But yeah, I think the fact that it's so easy now to say like Loewe drops that gorgeous draped leather jacket, you're like, I want that, but that's not accessible because that's slow fashion. And then, someone maybe like Bershka, who's fast fashion, it's like, oh, we'll make a variation of that and you can have it for 40 quid, not 4 grand. I get it. People can't spend 4 grand and they'd rather spend 40 quid. But then because you haven't invested that amount of money, I'm not saying invest that amount of money, by the way. It's 4 grand is stupid to spend on a jacket. But because it's 40 quid, it goes in the wardrobe and you don't feel guilty about not wearing it and you feel better about going and get another thing. Whereas I am a sucker for low fashion, and I'm saying all this and I'm preaching, but I get expensive things because I like them. Do you know what I mean? I've got a Balenciaga jacket from probably 8 years ago that I still pull out every winter, but that's because it costs so much money, and I'm like, that's my winter jacket. I'm going to wear each time, so I'm not bought another winter jacket. Like I've got jackets, yeah, but that in my head that is linked to when it gets cold outside. That's the jacket I wear because
That's
it costs that amount of money, and I need to make use of it. So it's like um, my auntie bought me a Margiela trench recently, and gorgeous, and I have worn that every single day. One, it's because I also know it's one of it's what the one good thing about slow fashion and independent fashion as well is that I don't think you will see stuff on that level replicated. So if you've got it on, people are like, oh, like I want that. But I don't think you'll find, like, my friend runs a clothing brand and his whole ethos is slow fashion and it's called Cold on a Sunday. Um, and all his stuff's made by hand. And I got off him um a vest. It's just a vest, but it's a nice cropped vest, but you can button it a load of different ways, and it's made for men's silhouettes to accentuate a man's silhouette, so like you feel a bit more confident, right? And it fits really nicely on the neck and the shoulders. And bro, I'm not wham, but it makes me look wham, and I'm like, yeah, I like this. I like how I look. And I wore it out the other day, and the amount of people that just asked me where it's from, like, I've not seen that before. That's really nice. Where's that from? I was just telling people, and that's the thing I get where I think microtrends and fast fashion have taken away from people's ability to what's the word now? I'm looking for curate curate things. You remember you create a playlist and it's the artist that you really enjoy, and it's like, it's all different. You might have, I don't know, Fall Out Boy on there, but then you also might have Drake and you also might have Kanye and then you might have Kings of Leon. But it's all music you've curated, like, that's specific to you. I think microtrends and fast fashion kind of get you away from that. Whereas, like, if I wanted a jacket and I thought of a jacket in my head, I would actively go and look for a certain type of jacket because I really wanted that. Now it's kind of like, oh, come shopping with me in London. I bought this jacket. It's from this place. Yeah, you can get it too. It's 50 quid. So that takes away from you actively going looking for stuff yourself, I think.
That probably feeds on to my next question, and it's a question I've asked quite a few people as well. Is that, do you think, like, the change of social media and, like how you said, curating stuff? Do you think there's, because of social media, that everything's got a bit more homogenized, that you can't really, like, you could have a person from LA dressing like someone from London, or
Yeah.
you could have a person from London who looks like someone from Japan. Do you think maybe like regional style, and as someone from Manchester who you has probably got an historic sort of quote unquote style as a city,
Yeah.
do do you think that that kind of like regional, like, sort of, that's a look for someone from London, from Manchester, is gone? Is everything more, like, homogenized, that everything's everywhere, kind of like what we see on the internet now?
Yeah, I think it's such a good question because the short answer is yes. I think yes, you see interest boards come to life when you go out to, say, the Northern Quarter on a Sunday. You see, like, oh, I saw that on Pinterest, and I've seen that on, like, uniform display, and I've seen about 7 guys and 7 girls like wear that outfit. And I think it's great because culturally you get to see what people are wearing, like Japan, India, Dubai, you know, China. You get to see what people are wearing, like Australia and stuff like that. Countries and cities, all, I feel, had at one point very distinct styles. Like if you went 45 minutes into Liverpool, you knew you was in Liverpool because of how people dressed. I watched a video recently where somebody said, you come into Manchester now, Manchester has always been quite free with how people dress and stuff like that. But you come into Manchester now and it's kind of like, pardon me, the guy was like, I could go put on a big fur coat and no one would bat an eyelid at me. But whereas he said, if I go back into Liverpool, you know, I would get looked at because it's not what you normally wear. And I think when I've been to London and you go to Soho Square, yeah, you kind of see like that guy's wearing an outfit, and like that's like I can tell that's Japanese denim, and I can tell that brand is push push because of the big baggy pants, and and then there's that guy that's quite preppy and all that, and it's loads of different styles. So you can't say that anyone there is from London, which again isn't a bad thing, but I think the danger with that, I mean, not danger, not to be dramatic, there's no danger involved in any of this, but the one thing is that, yes, you then have, you know, people, you might see the same outfit in different colours, different fonts, so many times a day. Whereas like you would go out and you would see people and you're like, oh, I like how that person's put that. I know for a fact, being a emo kid, like, going to Urbis, you'd go and you'd see like goths and emos and indie kids and punks and stuff, and you could tell who each person was. And obviously, you could say that's subculture and stuff, but in my eyes, they were trends as well. Because obviously, I went from like being an emo to an indie kid, dabbled in being a scene kid, and I get their subculture and stuff like that, but they all were distinctly linked to fashion trends as well. And I don't know if you see that as much anymore. I think what you see now more is like he's got a tie on and baggy jeans, a shirt, and a college, like a collegiate jacket on, and his mate looks the same as him, and that group kind of looks the same as everyone else. And then over there, you've got obviously the quiet luxury guy. You know what I mean? And then over there, you got the performative male, and it's kind of like that. But they all share a through line of you could look and you could probably buy each outfit from the same shop. Like you could buy like, oh, I could get his stuff from Cos, and I could get their stuff from Cos as well. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I think it's become a bit samey but not samey, but you can sort of tell where you've pulled those references from and where you've gone to buy and shop for that outfit because I've seen that in H&M's window and now I've seen it on 10 guys. You know what I mean? And it's that thing where it's people like run to Uniqlo now, they've got this thing and oh go get this cardigan from the women's section, and it's like it's constantly people telling you to go buy stuff. And I think that comes back to my point of being like there is no curation involved. People aren't going out to find things for themselves. Like I'd say again, like if there was a jacket I wanted and I'd not seen it at a shop, I'd be like, wide lapel, cropped jacket, blah, blah, and I'd put it in. And then, that would introduce me to Fear of God. Now I can't afford Fear of God, but I kind of know where then Fear of God has been open to me. And then I look at everything Jerry Lorenzo's done. And then I'm like, oh, he's done a cheaper version of Essentials and stuff. And then that gets my foot in the door that way. And then it's like discovering brands. And I know people, it's easy to discover brands now, but I don't know how much brands do in a sense where they're not essentially like not taking off another brand, but sort of reinterpreting. And I know lots of fashion is just reinterpretations, but when I say reinterpret, it's like we're going to do that boxy tee, but we're going to do it in a heavier GSM and in a black instead of a white. And I feel like that, whereas like no one's making, when I say no one's making, I know people that are making stuff that people aren't seeing because it's not on a wider scale and they're quite independent. But like I said, my mate called on a Sunday. There's another friend I've got who's called Sol, and he makes all his. It's just one dude. He makes all his own stuff, and his stuff is very much like 50s. Do you know the film The Mask where he wears that yellow suit? So
Yeah.
imagine that, but in terms of like very muted colors, but that kind of silhouette, but toned down, and it's dope. It's like pants with suspenders and then pinstripe shirts, and even call some of the jackets like the cartoon overshirt and stuff like that. But that sort of stuff where smaller designers are not emulating bigger fashion houses and being like, I want to make this thing because I want to wear it, and then people take interest from that. So yeah, it's I think Instagram and TikTok have been great for people to find fashion, but I think it's also been a bit of a detriment because people then follow fashion micro trends and influencers and stuff like that. Whereas like all I'm saying is go and I don't go out and I don't know. I'm not going to say touch grass because that's weird. Go out and like have a look for yourself. Like, instead of being like, I want to wear what I don't know 5 foot's wearing. No disrespect to 5 foot. He's a sound guy, but like, I'm gonna go wear what he's wearing, or I'm gonna try and find what he's wearing because I don't think people can afford what he's wearing most of the time. Yeah, it's kind of like finding then a cheaper version. And when you find a cheaper version, you kind of dilute from the original product. And then more fast fashion brands think they can just keep churning stuff like that out, which ain't cool. So yeah.
Do you think? I mean, something that I've struggled with in the past, and I think as you get older, you probably move away from it. But do you ever find it with people you style, or even with yourself, that you see something on someone else and you think that looks sick, I need to have that, but in reality, like it doesn't suit your body type. He's a 6'4" guy, proper slim, athletic build, been a runner all his
Yeah,
life. It fits him great, but
yeah,
it doesn't look the same on you. Because like for me, the thing I struggle with most is like trousers, because I've got really short legs. So like any pair of jeans or trousers I have to get them tailored, because otherwise they're dead long, they sit crap. I can
yeah.
never just buy like trousers off the rack. And do you think people that's probably a thing people struggle with as well, is that they see something on someone else and think, I really like that piece, I really like that, but
Yeah,
it doesn't fit your body type. It doesn't, you need to get it adjusted to fit you to make it look the same. Like, do you think people struggle
yeah.
with that?
I think it's such an excellent point because yeah, I think that is exactly what happens. Like I've had it loads of times where I'm like, yo, I love what that guy's wearing, man, or I love what she's wearing, and then I've like been like, I've got it's a nice thing to strike up a conversation, be like, really like what you're wearing. Where did you get it from? But I very quickly find it doesn't look good on me. It doesn't. But then that does put me down a different alleyway of like, right, that didn't look good on me, but I like how that thing looked. I'm going to find a version for myself, or I'm going to look in my wardrobe and try and find, because I like getting my stuff tailored anyway. So I get my pants tailored and stuff. I like wearing my jeans a certain way. I like how my tops are sit a certain way. And it's because I am short and I'm broad. So stuff doesn't look great on me all the time. It's not fashion isn't made for me. So I have this conversation with my friend all the time, because he doesn't understand the industry I'm in. Um, because he's like, you do that and you get paid for it. That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, man. But he is tall. He's a 6 foot slim built dude. So I've always said to him, I was like, you live from a point of privilege because everything is made to look good on you. Because he doesn't understand sometimes why I'll go out and I'll pay, £100 for a t-shirt. He's like, it can't be worth £100. I was like, it's not worth £100, but that t-shirt fits me, my shoulders, and drapes the way I want it to. And that's what I've got to pay. Like, I rarely find a t-shirt that sits on my shoulders and drapes and doesn't make me feel like a big slug, bro. Do you know what I mean? So when I find a t-shirt, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for that because I'm gonna wear it all the time now, all the time. Whereas you can go anywhere and you can find a plain white tee and it will 9 times out of 10 fit you like it's intended to fit on the model in the campaign. Whereas I don't have that privilege. I'm not coming from that point of privilege where I'm a tall, slim dude. Do you know what I mean? I'm a short, square man. Do you know what I mean? So I need to find things that look good for me. So that's why sometimes when I find stuff, I will pay the extra amount because it looks good on me. And I don't always, like yourself, like I can't normally get stuff off the rack. So if I find something off the rack that suits me, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. And sometimes that does fall to my detriment because like there was this jacket in Selfridges by Uma Wang, and I've never had a jacket fit me like the way it did. It just draped on my shoulders, finished exactly where I wanted to at the sleeves, sit just below the knees. And to a lot of people, this stuff won't matter, but it made me look taller. It made me look broader in a good way. It cinched at my waist, so it made me look smaller there. And I get people won't get that, but you won't get that because you probably have never encountered that problem. So yeah, I think it is a problem where people like go, oh yeah, I like that, I want that, and then as soon as they get it on, they're like, oh, why doesn't it? I've bought it. Why doesn't it look right? Do you know what I mean? And I think again that comes to my point of like find out what's good for you. Go and curate your style in terms of like trying a load of pants, trying a load of tees, trying a load of jumpers and knits and jackets, and you will find that maybe a certain brand or store caters to your body type. And then you will keep buying from that. Instead of like looking everywhere, you'll keep buying from them. And it's a bit easier on the wallet then as well, especially if you find stuff, I don't know, like you go to H&M and you find a section and you kind of yeah, like the women's section is great for me. Like personally, the women's section is great for me because I'm broad, but then I'm a bit wider at the bottom, so everything sits a bit nicer. And also because I'm shorter, it just has a natural finish at the waist. So yeah, it's just, I wouldn't have found that out if I didn't go and just try on a load of stuff. And that's one of the things I do when in terms of styling is if I'm doing freelance and stuff and I'm with a model, I'll try and go for a fit day where we just go to a load of shops, and then that gives me ideas and it gives them ideas as well. And we'll just try a load of stuff on, and then when we find the thing that kind of looks good, take a reference image and we'll go, right, we'll build off that thing. So I think, yeah, just go out there and find what's best for you, really. Instead of looking less toward look less towards these people like that, obviously you find it and it's great that you find it and you like it, but then also go and experiment with like, okay, thing didn't look good on me. It's not the end of the world. Go and find another thing that's kind of similar that might be good on you, sort of thing.
Do to kind of sort of wrap up the conversation and seeing what we've discussed already, what for fashion really excites you at the minute? Like, what do you think in 2026 is going to be big, and what really, you know, gets you motivated for styling for this year? Like, is there anything you've been like, oh, that's sick, I can't wait to see more of that?
Yeah.
Or is it a case of still just in a bit of a discovery?
I think I think never lose the element of discovery because people are making dope stuff every single day. Um, but what excites me though is smaller brands doing more exciting stuff. And I know we've had that conversation in 2025 as well, but the smaller brands are doing stuff that the bigger brands and the fashion houses won't do because there's too much risk involved. Whereas smaller brands make things in a smaller quantity and it's more experimental and you've not seen it before. And their reference points, when you hear the stories, their reference points are crazy. Like, I saw my dad had an old fisherman's jacket and I liked it, but I didn't like the way it fit on me. So I cropped it and I cinched it. And after I did that, I was like, okay, I like this jacket. I want to make it in a different color. And just the points of like inspiration that these smaller brands get. Like when Bad Sun started out in the US, like, and they had all the, the circles and stuff and the distressing, and then they went massive. They started out from a point of experimentation because they were happy to be more experimental because they didn't have that massive business side of things of like, we can't take the risk. So I think what excites me is the smaller brands doing more experimental stuff and continuing that through 2026, and more of these brands that have eyes on them, but I still think are quite fiercely independent. Like, Story MFG, like Saeed and Kate over there, like they have stayed true the whole way through. And the way they tell the story and the fact that the way they dye their garments and stuff and the way things fit, and it's all for a very thought out specific reason. And I just hope they get even bigger and stuff. I mean, they're massive anyway, but and then other brands that were independent but have now got quite a bit of traction, like Seventh. Their stuff is very heavily inspired from like Japanese workwear, but then it has a very like London through line through it. So it's like mixing the two cultures, and I shop with them loads. And it's one of those things where their stuff is made so well, but it doesn't look their whole their I think their brand line is like their silhouette is the branding. And it's so true because their jeans fit in such a specific way and their tops fit in such a specific way that I've not seen it, like say, a JD, or I don't know, Cos, or anywhere in Selfridges. Like I've not seen any of their silhouettes replicated. So the smaller brands are doing it right, and I'm going to continue to shop smaller because it's just cooler stuff. It's just more dope stuff. And in terms of like stuff that I'm looking forward to, it's this. I'm looking forward to this Americana colors, this cowboy thing that I feel like is going to come through. And yeah, we'll get more, you know, Japanese workwear inspiration and stuff, and that's dope as well. And I think anybody that says stuff is dead, like tabbies are dead, they're not dead. They've been around forever. People just discovered them recently. I think we'll get a lot more of that as well in terms of like content that you'll see. But I think I'm just excited for. I think we had a really strong 2025, and I think 2026. I think you're only going to see people get much more confident in what they're putting out, and because of that, you will get a more organic reception and more people interested in it just because you are so confident in what you're putting out. And I think that's dope. Like I can't wait to see I can't wait to see what my mates do next with their brands. Can't wait to see what Buki and stuff does over at Seventh, and yeah, I think I like the idea of people sort of discovering stuff organically, and I think I'm hoping going to be a big trend, not a micro trend for 2026, that there will be more discovery of smaller brands and that will slow fast fashion down and people will look towards slow fashion. And I think, vintage workwear and stuff and, you know, thrifting will get even more of a trend. I know a lot of people, go shop vintage and stuff, but I think it's like maybe a footnote. It's only if you find a cool tee or anything like that. Like, I think there's so many vintage brands and shops out there that are doing really great things. Um, like I shop from a few, like Permanent Orbit in
Manchester's
town.
good for them, aren't they?
Yeah, we have Permanent Orbit in town. Joe runs that gaff, and he's got an insane selection of denim. You've got Retro Garms, that my friend Emily she runs, and she's got an insane amount of furs and handbags. And I think my whole reason for trying to get a handbag is seeing all the ones that she has, and I've kind of got inspo from that. And yeah, and then you have Streetwear Studio, which is a great place for like streetwear heads that want to get stuff that they might have missed out on. We've got so much. You've got Susie and Bob, Susie Loves Milo, that do, vintage Japanese brands, like Ismiyaki and Y3 and stuff like that. They've got all that down on lock. And we've got a really good vintage scene here in Manchester. And I think that stuff's just going to only get bigger this year. And I know a load of them are doing exciting things, and the same with the smaller brands. And I think, yeah, that wave is going to be that wave's going to be dope. I reckon you're going to see quite a bit in spring, summer. Feel like when people have stopped hibernating, and got through this storm and the cold. Yeah, I think you're going to see absolutely amazing things. So yeah, I think there's a lot to come in 2026. I mean, we're only 8 days into it anyway, so we've got loads of time, bro. So yeah.
Well, just before we wrap up, then Alex, I just want to say a big thank you for your time, take your time out, and
No,
then
thank you, mate.
for anyone who wants to get in touch with you, the floor's yours. If you want to plug where people can reach out to you
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's Alex __ NASA NASIR on Instagram. And yeah, I have my styling page that is currently I'm having a bit of a rebrand on it, so you'll be able to find it through my Instagram. But it's the same on TikTok as well. I post things that are completely irrelevant to everything we spoke about here. So yeah, if you just want to see me wearing the same outfit 20 times a day, get over there. But if anybody's got any questions in terms of like styling or how to get started, I'm happy to just give any tips or any advice I can. But yeah, man, cheers for having me, bro. Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, mate. Have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah, man, enjoy your game, bro. Hope it goes the way you want it to.